Well,
Well, this is the point of the evening where you kind of wish that it could keep on going, but this is our last Golden Apple recipient tonight, a middle school English language arts teacher from North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts.
actually, back in college, Richard Romano was studying to become a physical therapist, and he took this chance elective. It was called Foundations in Education that changed his entire career path. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Richard Romano.
Hang on, ladies, working my way around.
Rich Romano weaves through his classroom like a New Yorker in traffic.
Mr. Romano, what not to say?
Hideous headphone drawer.
Born and raised on Long Island, he moved to Lee County 15 years ago.
There you go. Don't get lost. Yes, what do you need? I want it back tomorrow. Stop losing my stuff.
He shifts between teaching language arts and robotics. Rich admits to pushing hard in order to bring out the best.
To use a boxing analogy, I like to keep them on their heels. And when they take a step forward, it's when I push a little bit hard and we keep going back. And if I keep them on their heels, it puts them a few years ahead of their counterparts.
I just like the fact that he pushes you past your level, like he takes you to a whole new level.
When he first met Mr. Romano, Ethan Sherman had a feeling about the Golden Apple.
And I said if he wanted, I would introduce him, so that was almost 2 years ago, and I guess I'm in that spot now.
He'll be the one introducing his teacher at the recognition banquet.
Very unnerving. I asked him if Lotto was in my future or what I should invest in.
Growing up, he spent a lot of money on comics. Rich now uses superheroes to teach mythology.
And they'll see how Batman is Theseus, the thinking man.
The hall outside his classroom resembles an art exhibit. His students express pivotal moments from famous novels. Rich assumed the story arc to his life would include bachelorhood.
So I thought I'd be the cool uncle to my nephews, and that would be the end of it. And then I saw my wife. And that's it. She won me over.
He used literature as a pickup line. While working at the same gym, Rich offered to lend her some books.
And she turned to the woman that was sitting next to me and she said, "He can read." And that's how we began talking.
They have a son in the school who got to celebrate Dad's Golden Apple.
Mr. Richard Romano.
And he heard it announced over the loudspeaker, and he dropped to his knees in his band class. And he said how difficult it was for me to do this and how proud he was of me.
See?
Mr. Romano comes across stoic, yes, even robotic.
My wife says the same thing. She said I'm full of steam and gears.
It's been touched on in class, our theories about if he has feelings or not. All in good fun.
Proving serious learning can be fun.
You just can't hate his class. Good evening, Golden Apple audience. My name is Ethan Sherman, and I am a 7th grade student at North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts. I'm here before you all to introduce the 2017 Golden Apple winner and my favorite teacher. But first, let's talk about some of his qualities. He is a caring, intelligent, open-minded, honest, great leader, and not to mention an amazing teacher. Also, this great teacher helped me and my entire class get to an above-college reading level in just a couple of months. On my first day of middle school, I met this teacher, and I don't know if many of you may remember, but on the first day of middle school, everybody was scared of all their teachers, and they worried about how mean and strict their teacher was going to be and how difficult their classes would be. To be honest with you, I was practically worrying for my life. But then I heard the bell over the middle school intercom, which meant it was time to switch classes. So on I went to this new teacher's class, and when I walked into the room, I could already feel he was going to be a great teacher. Our first conversation was about the Golden Apple Award that day, and I made him a promise. If you won the award, I would be right here to introduce him all to you. Ladies and gentlemen, my Golden Apple teacher, Mr. Romano.
Thank you, Ethan Sherman, for having the courage to stand before this audience and make me so very proud, yet again. I would like to begin by thanking my mother for teaching me to love reading. I would like to also thank the foundation of Lee Public Schools, Marshall Bauer and his incredible staff, and to Dr. Santini and Dr. Thomas Millins. Thank you for bringing me into your family at North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts, my new home. To my beloved wife, who I fell in love with at our first smile, thank you for being my tether to earth when self-doubt tries to tear me away. And to my son, Jacob, thank you. You are the very breath of life in my lungs each day. I must step out of this speech for just a few sentences and really drink in this moment, as life is sorted into memories and we are essentially the recollections that we cling to. I am standing before hundreds of people, preparing to talk about myself, not a famous author or a classic work of literature, but a humble teacher from suburbia. I have taught now long enough to have my students fill this room twice over, and now some of those same kids are teaching at the schools where I educated them. Have 18 years passed so quickly? In physics, time is a constant. As a classroom teacher, I defy the passage of time. I stand outside it as it flows around me, not unlike the time traveler from H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, but to contrast him in the majority of the story, I am directly affecting history, as all teachers do. Ours is the greatest responsibility. We shape the future by imparting knowledge to the youth, leading by example, and being the one person that many students can rely on. In truth, we may be the only constant in students' lives. Teaching is a calling, just as medicine, law, or the cloth. As it reaches out to some of us, midway through my studies to be a physical therapist, I took an elective called Foundations of Education. And after that one semester, I decided that teaching was to be my profession. That decision cost me an additional 3 years of college and increased my educational debt exponentially. Wow. Wow. I sacrificed everything for this career without regret. I was meant to be a teacher. I appeared before you tonight accepting this award, knowing full well that the path that led me here was populated by titans. Teachers who took the time to see past the eccentricities of an often distracted, intelligent boy and encourage him to something more than even he ever imagined. There are too many teachers in my life as a student to mention in but one speech. I have only these few moments to thank the greatest professor that I ever had. He just so happened to share a lunch table with me. I met Bill West one afternoon whilst I was hunched like an ape over a pile of ungraded essays. Our lunches soon became a lecture hall wherein I was privileged enough to have his wisdom and insight to guide my hand as I wrote literature-rich lessons for all levels of learners. He was my mentor and friend. The recent passing of this brilliant man affects me even to this day. I genuinely believe that he and all the teachers that inspired me stand by me in the classroom each day because we, as teachers, are an amalgam of the very best that called us to teach. In closing to this, my time with you, my captive Golden Apple audience, in my speech that will most definitely be shattered and scattered by the mighty algorithm that is Google, I leave you with this. If teaching is your calling, listen. Emulate those that inspired you. Use more semicolons, as they are like Batman. Not always the hero that you want in your sentence, but more often than not, the punctuation that you so desperately need. Read well, read thoroughly, read often. Challenge yourself to learn something new each day, no matter how seemingly trivial. Listen, rather than plan your next response. And above all else, know who you are and your purpose in this, our shared world. I am Richard Romano, husband to Brianne, father to Jacob, and I am a Golden Apple teacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, join me in congratulating all of our 2017 Golden Apple teachers.